Thank you, brother. We've officially blown the fire code in this room, I think, whatever it looks like. If you haven't scanned this, you need to. And if you can't use your QR code, it actually works better with your camera. If you actually scan it with your camera and click that as part of all that, as we kind of set things up here this morning. It's been a bittersweet week in the Reeves house. Our last little girl, only little girl, our little girl started her senior year in high school this year, so we are getting close to empty nesters. I think it's comfortable to say by this time next year, Amanda and I will be live streaming this class from the beach. All right, so we're going to continue to work through day number 4, which for the purpose of this class, day number 4 is when God created the sun, the moon, the stars, and created rhythm in the universe. A few weeks ago I talked about habits, when God created the habits, but specifically today, talk a little bit of time about when you have good habits, how it creates happiness in your life. You know, happy. Are you happy at this point in time in your life? You know, and spend some time talking about that based on where we are. I'd like to start with this verse, if you can read it. So teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. It's a verse we've all heard many times over the course of our lives, but just overall react to that. What comes to your mind when you see this verse? Give me something. Anybody? Word.
Be intentional.
Okay. Anything else?
Sense of urgency.
Yeah,
Mhm.
knowing that it's finite.
Yeah. You know, they believe, at least what I've read, this verse was actually attributed to Moses. Moses had wrote this. You know, Moses had 4 distinct lives. You know, his mom leaves him in a basket. He gets picked up by this Egyptian princess. So the first 20 years of his life, he's living in, he's living in Egyptian royalty. I mean, he's got the plasma TV and the hot tub. I mean, he is doing great for the first 20 years. Then he basically has this situation where he takes up for a fellow Hebrew and escapes. So for 40 years, he is in the desert taking care of sheep. Then one day he's out walking around, he gets a burning bush, and God says, no, you're actually going to go back and you're going to let my people go. And they say that the plagues might have lasted as long as 10 years, at least for one account I was reading. So for 10 years, he's fighting the most powerful person in the world, trying to get my people to go. He leads them across the Red Sea, and then he spends the last 40 years of his life wandering around the desert, not allowed to go into the promised lands of his life, of the promised land. And he's the guy that says, teach us to number our days that we might gain a heart of wisdom. Maybe our days actually are numbered. They truly might be numbered. Do you think God has given you a number of days? You think He knows how many days you're going to live? Yeah, well, I tend to think He does. You know, to me, the verse means that wise people know that we're not going to be here forever. You're just not going to be here forever. Our parents are not going to live forever. Our children are not going to stay home forever. You're not going to be married forever. Your health is not going to last forever. There is just a finite to everything. It reminds me of the immortal words of the theologian Tim McGraw that says, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter and I gave forgiveness that I'd been denying. He said, I hope someday that all of you get the chance to live like you were dying. In other words, we need to be present where we are today. August 10th, 2025 at 9:41 in the morning. Happiness and contentment in our life, a lot of that comes with just living with perspective. Let's be happy where we are today, if you possibly can. Every single year for the last 30-something years, the World Population Review is a large organization, and they survey over 100,000 people around the whole entire world and ask them about happiness. 140 countries, 100-something thousand people. Any guesses, most happy country in the world? Any wild guesses? 8 years in a row, Finland's been the most happy place in the world. Eight years in a row, it's been the most happy in the world, followed by Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, all the way down the page right there. The United States is actually number 24. It's the 24th happiest place in the world. Actually, this year was the lowest ranking we've ever had as a country, with an average score of 6.724. You know, and to be fair, as you think through all this, I mean, there's like 5.6 million people in Finland, and there's a lot of homogeny there. We got 300 million people here. There's a big difference between California and Tennessee and Maine. So there's a lot of reason for more conflict. But the 10 happiest countries Finland is the most happiest country in the world. It might be because of the beautiful Santa Claus Village. It might be because of the ski resorts in Levi. It might be because of Helsinki. It could be the beautiful Nuuksio National Park. Has anybody been to Finland, by the way? You been? I saw a little one go up there. Beautiful, beautiful place. This ranking, really, the way they do it, there's a thing called the Cantril Ladder. And they go through and they ask all these hundred-something thousand people in all the different countries about their happiness and what makes them happy. It's based on 6 criteria. The first one is GDP per capita. That's purely economy. It has to do with money. It has to do with material blessings. It has to do, do you have enough money to live on? Number 2, it's around social support. They ask one question to these people. If you're in trouble, do you have relatives or friends you can count on to help you whenever you need them? You have a social support system that can take care of you. Number 3, healthy life expectancy. How long do you live and how well do you live along the way? Number 4, do you have the freedom to make life choices? Do you feel like you live in an environment where you can truly live the life that you want to live? Number 5, generosity. That's really more around a country's charity. It's around the goodness and the charity of the people that live there. And number 5, low corruption. How do people look at the public sector, government? How do they look at the private sector? And of course, Tennessee has no corruption in government. But how do people look at corruption? And those things together really drove all of it. And by the way, another couple of interesting thoughts on Finland. They have incredibly horrible winters. They have 4 hours of sunlight from December to March. 4 hours. My wife would never make it, 4 hours of sunlight a day. But number 2, they have more saunas per capita of any place in the entire world, like 40,000 saunas. 40,000 saunas with 5.6 million people inside the country of Finland. And most people, when they go to the saunas, men and women, they all go nude. That might explain some of their happiness. But I thought that was a very interesting thing about that. But if you look at these again, the Scandinavian countries overall, all those are up there at the very top as far as the happiest places in the world. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden. So it might be good places for all of us to go visit sometimes. They're clearly doing something right. But regardless of wherever you live in the world, as far as a country, we all individually have different patterns of happiness in our life. There's a book written by Jonathan Rauch a number of years ago called The Happiness Curve. And he was looking at a much larger study that had been done for many, many, many years around just people's happiness in their lives. And most people's happiness looks like this. No matter where you live in the world, everyone has a similar happiness curve that starts like this. When you're really, really young, and you're in the late teens, late 20s, you're energetic, you're optimistic, you got a big future in front of you, and you're incredibly happy. Things are moving in the right direction. Then all of a sudden you kind of get in your late 20s, and you get in your 30s, and you get in your 40s, and you get in your 50s, and you have this midlife slump is what they call it. And there's 4 major reasons that they feel like your life kind of gets kind of sad in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. One is rising expectations versus reality, because you might have been super ambitious when you were young, but all of a sudden your real life collides with your dreams. Number 2, responsibility peak. I mean, when you're in your 40s and 50s, you are drowning sometimes. It's taking everything you've got to take care of your family, to parent, to caregive, all the financial pressures in your life. And there's also a reflection and comparison. When you're in that age, you just have a tendency to compare yourself to everybody else. And it robs so much of your joy in your 30s and 40s and 50s, and it fuels so much of your dissatisfaction. But there's good news, my friends. They say across the world, when you get to be in your 50s, if you choose to make the right decisions and move in the right direction, your happiness can actually begin to move considerably better in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and beyond. Many times you're much happier in your 60s and up than you ever were even when you were young, for a few different reasons. Later years. Number one, emotional regulation improves. That's a fancy way of saying, you're just not as stressed out. You got context in your life. You're 50 years old, 40, 50, 60. You've got a little more emotional regulation. You're just not going to worry about every little detail that's happening in your life. Number two, shift in priorities. You have a tendency to focus on things that matter more. The old saying of the older I get, I worry less about I'm going to say this wrong. I worry less about the being successful as much as I do at succeeding in areas of life that don't really matter. It's the whole idea of who cares if I'm a great senator if I lose my marriage? You kind of get perspective in your life. Shift in priorities. And the last thing is acceptance grows. You just have more contentment in your life. You don't really care what people think about you the older you get. And you just kind of get to a point that you're just considerably happy. Does this resonate with anybody? A little bit? 40s, 50s, you're kind of maybe not pulling out of it yet, but you want to pull out of it. Your kids are leaving home. You're kind of trying to find yourself in those different areas. There's a concept called time compression. Do any of you feel like the older you get, that the years are going by faster? Like everybody feels that way. They're not, by the way. We still got 365 days. But as we get older, we really feel like time is going by faster. We feel, and this may be too loud, that the days are long, but the years are short. I'll let you watch this little video, and it may be too loud.
What are you doing?
I know.
Did Amanda authorize
Lead us in prayer, Robert. So a couple.
you? You're not re-election, right?
Couple of responses on this. One is this little video was created by Gretchen Rubin for a couple of points she was trying to make. One is this. So many times in life when we're going through things at the time that feel so incredibly hard, that might have been robbing your happiness. When you look back on it, they might have been some of your most joyful times. They really are, but you just can't live in that moment. It just kind of robs you of where you're at, and taking your little girl to school every day at the time feels burdensome. But to her, it was the biggest thing in the world going on. The second thing that, again, the first time I'd heard it was Gretchen Rubin, when she talked about this time compression when you look back on your life. And the concept is basically this. When you're 10 years old, 10% of your entire life is a year. Well, when you're 10 years old, 1 year is 10% of your entire life. Let me say it that way. You with me? But when you're 50 years old, that same 1 year is only 2% of your whole entire life. This is kind of crass, but she kind of calls this like the toilet paper analogy. When you got a whole roll of toilet paper, you got lots and lots of time left. But by the time you get to the end, it's kind of like you're just running out as quick as you can. So because of that, each year feels shorter and shorter and shorter as you get older. It's like time speeding up on you is what's going on, which it really is not. She wrote this book called The Happiness Project, where she spent an entire year. She said, I just want to spend an entire year and I want to evaluate every moment of every single day my emotions. I really want to try to get a sense of what's making me happy, what's making me satisfied, what's making me feel engaged. At the same time, what's making me feel sad, what's making me feel guilty, what's making me feel angry. And she just kept extensive journals every day of every little thing along her life that made her feel a certain way. She wanted to really wrap her arms around what was working for her. She, at the end of the day, through her work and through some larger studies that were done, she found that 50% of your total happiness really is driven by your genetics. So if you come from a bunch of grumps, if mom and dad and grandparents are a bunch of grumps or worriers, it's going to impact your happiness. It just is. It's part of who you are from a genetics perspective. On the flip side, if your folks are super optimistic and bubbly, you probably naturally got some of that. 25% of happiness is adversity. It's really how you choose to deal with life. What's going to be thrown at you? Are you going to get bitter? Or are you going to get better? How are you going to deal with life circumstances? And the last part of happiness is who you choose to spend your time with and how you choose to order your life, how you choose to spend your time, your mind, your money, your relationships. You control that, my friends. If you don't get anything else out of the day, 25% of your happiness is where you choose to spend your time, your mind, your money, and your relationships. You can control that piece of your life. And let's be honest, we're all at different stages. There's a big difference between being a new mom and being someone who's a grandmom. It's a big difference between being a newly married couple and being an empty nester couple. There are different things that need to happen. A few weeks ago, I talked about habits. And I shared this slide with you in regards to habits, and I talked about creating a well-ordered life. Heart, soul, strength, and mind. You know, what are you doing for your soul spiritually? This is, again, creating habits in your life. What are you doing for worship or prayer or Bible study? For your heart, what are you doing? That's really your personal. What are you doing for fun or for fellowship? Habits, structure in your life to create happiness. Strength. You know, they've got up there diet, exercise, rest. I think I'd throw financial in there as well. Again, these are the habits in your life that you're creating. And the last thing is mind. What are you doing for your mind? Habits, learning, wisdom, agility challenges to ensure your life is well ordered. Because if your life is well ordered, you flourish, you have confidence, and you are generally happier. So my new friend, one of my new best friends is ChatGPT. So I asked my friend Chat, I said, Chat, what do you think of the top 5 ways to order your life after 55 for happiness? And it pulled from a lot of different resources because I asked, it pulled from like 100 different books. Any thoughts? Give me just one. What's one thing you feel confident that ChatGPT said you got to do to order your life after 55? One thing.
Simplification.
Okay.
Simplification.
Well, here's what our friend Chat said. By the way, on a side note, is anybody using ChatGPT? Decent amount? Was anybody using it this time last year? Isn't that crazy? I was in a conference earlier this week out of town, and they were talking about, I'm totally doing Bobby, I'm going off on a rabbit trail here. But they were talking about how advanced AI is coming, but you still can't 100% trust it. And they were sharing a story of an attorney in New York that was preparing for a really large case with his big team. And they asked ChatGPT, based on all the information, to provide them with the brief to put in front of the judge. He read it. The brief was incredibly good. He turned it into the judge. But it turned out that 2 of the cases that ChatGPT referenced were actually fictional cases from television shows. That's kind of crazy, but you can't trust all of it. But this is pretty good. Top 5 ways to order your life after 55. Number 1, nurture your close relationships. I think we all know that. Stay connected with loved ones, deep social bonds, improve mood and meaning. Number 2, we got to find purpose. I feel like we talk about purpose every week in here. Got to find purpose in your life, the things that can give you purpose. Volunteering, mentoring, creative hobbies. Number 3, stay physically active. What are you doing for your energy? Exercise boosts energy, brain health, keeps you feeling young. Number 4, practice gratitude and positivity. Focus on what's good in your life. Don't constantly get obsessed with everything that's not going well. And number 5, keep learning and engaging your mind. Challenge your brain with reading puzzles and new things. So, thinking about what makes you happy. Oh no. Y'all, I gotta fix this. That's not good. I guess I should have run through this before I did it. My fancy Slido. I was so happy about that. Well, I guess I'm going to have to not do it.
I saw it there for a second.
No, it's not going to work.
Oh, man.
If y'all want me to fix it, I can. It may take too long. So let's just talk about it, all right? The question is talking about things that make us happy. Wow, I should have got that. I should have tested it ahead of time, Eric. Activities, specific activities that make you happy at this point in time in your life. Give me some specific activities that make you happy.
Pickleball.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Family time.
Family, good. What else? Things that make you happy. This-
G-rated answers only, please.
I know.
Before Amanda says something.
I know. This is the reason Slido is so good, because everybody would answer if we had Slido up there. Everybody would give me something on
You
this.
said pickleball, I'm gonna say right dirt bikes.
Dirt bikes, that's good. Specific activities that make you happy. Anything else?
Good food.
Good food, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good food's great.
Going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
Beaches
Good.
at the lake.
The lake? That's good.
Traveling, finding, exploring new places.
That's good.
Having all your people at your house at dinner.
That's good. That makes me happy too, by the way. Makes me happy, no question about it.
Taking walks with my kids. It's when they talk.
That's good. Isn't that funny? There's some places my kids will talk to me and other places they won't. Yeah, but you try to go to those spots with them. That's good.
Watching my kids make good decisions
Mm,
makes me really happy.
me too.
It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it makes me really happy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You know, one of the,
Kids,
what's that?
grandkids.
Oh, yeah. That's great. You kind of hear the patterns here. You know, relationships is a big part of that. There's a lot of verbs in the room. Pickleball, lake, walking. There's a lot of verbs involved in the things that make us happy at this season of our life. I have probably given this book right here to 20 people in the last, I don't know, the last year or so. It's a book that was written by Arthur Brooks, and he is a gentleman who is really focusing on creating deep purpose in the second half of life. How do you really genuinely create deep purpose? He starts the book off talking about he's on a plane with his wife, and they're taking a red-eye flight. And behind them, they hear an older man talking. And the older man is just profoundly unhappy. And he's going on and on about how his relevance has faded, how he doesn't provide any value to the world anymore. His life is meaningless, that all his best years are behind him. It's just very, very sad. And he's listening to the whole time. It's just how incredibly depressed he is. Well, when the lights come on and they get ready to leave, he turns around and this individual is like an incredibly wealthy, famous, universally known person around the country that is loved by everybody. He doesn't tell you their name. But he says, I just can't believe this individual who has accomplished so much, who's loved by so many people, feels this way about his own life. So it really sent him on this path to really begin to ask the question, why do people have this incredible decline in satisfaction in the second half of life? And how can we better make the transition from career and parenting to a better place of hope and peace and satisfaction later in life? Brooks specifically talks about happiness comes from 3 different places. He says it comes from pleasure, which is good food, Jeremy. Pleasure is good food, laugh with friends, Robert, whatever you got on your mind, listening to favorite songs. It's pleasure. It's pleasure. Another part of happiness comes from satisfaction, which is when you set some kind of goal for yourself, big or small, and you complete it. You might complete a project, you might earn a promotion, you might finish a marathon. You just feel happy because you've accomplished something in your life. You've reorganized the pantry at home. There's this satisfaction, this happiness that comes from that. And the last level of happiness really comes from meaning. And to me, that's the closest he gets to talking about joy. It's when you're doing something really for others. It's when you're sacrificing for a larger cause. It's when you're serving in some larger way, and you can get a great amount of meaning, which in turn makes you happy and makes you joyful, which really leads you to the second question this morning, which is, what is the difference between happiness and joy? Somebody.
Happiness is a feeling that can be fleeting, and joy is a choice you make.
It's good. What else? It's good. Difference between happiness and joy. Is there a difference?
I think happiness is dependent on things around you.
Okay.
Joy is internal. Happiness is oftentimes dependent on your situation.
Yep. Anything else on that?
Joy is a choice.
It is.
You can often have joy even when things are very difficult,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily happiness.
That's good. I think so too. Simple little breakdown here. Again, we said some things. Happiness is an emotion, the ranging from contentment and satisfaction. It's usually caused by external sources. It's events, it's feelings, it makes you feel good. Time frame is generally very momentary. And the example, you win the lottery. It's going to make you happy. Joy, great delight or happiness, it's usually caused by inward contentment. Usually it's inward contentment. It's long-lasting. Giving birth to a child will bring a lot of joy. I really like the concept of joy as a compass. I'd heard about this for years. I heard David Young talk about this for years when he would preach as well. But talking about joy as a compass. And basically it's this. If your life is moving in the right direction and you're really making the right decisions, and your walk is in alignment with God, and you're not stressed and you're not anxious, you feel joy. You have a tendency to when you're moving in the right direction, you feel joy. But many times when your life is, and it really serves as a compass because you can kind of tell you're in the flow. You're in the flow. But whenever you're not in the flow, whenever life is a little bit disruptive, you lose your joy. To your point, can you be joyful but not happy? Can you be joyful or not but not happy?
Joy is fruit of the Spirit, right?
Right. I think so too. Yeah.
Can I share one thing?
Yeah. Go.
Completely out of place.
Yep.
I shared this in the graduation in 2019. Happiness depends on happenings. If your happenings just happen to happen like you happen to want your happenings to happen, you're happy.
It's good.
But this is of the Spirit.
So too. You know, if you were, if you have an individual who is maybe at the end of their life and maybe they're on hospice and you get invited to go see them, you're tired, you don't feel like it, and you go sit with that individual and you listen to them and you hold their hand and you're with them, you're trying to encourage them, you're trying to tell them that their life matters. Well, that doesn't necessarily make you really happy, but maybe on your way home, after you've spent time doing that, you feel a sense of warmth and a sense of encouragement. You feel a sense of joy. You can feel joy but not necessarily be happy. On the flip side, can you be happy and not be joyful? Can you be? Yeah, of course you can. I'll tell you something that's made me real happy in the last week or two. I'm not real happy, but it's made me happy. Have any of y'all seen the Billy Joel documentary? You need to watch that. Billy Joel's got a brand new documentary that's out. That's telling me I don't got much time left. A man and I have watched. It was really good. It was really fun. It made me happy during that little period of time. Am I joyful from it? Of course not. But it did make you happy at that period of time of watching that. So you can be happy and not be joyful, and you can be joyful and not be happy. Where do you go to find joy when you're completely empty? When you're empty in your life and you're really down, where do you go to find joy?
Scripture.
Okay.
Community.
Okay. Anything else?
Prayer.
You know, I want to think earlier on, and I don't know which week we did it, we probably talked about the spiritual pathways. Bob, did you do spiritual pathways? To me, I like this sacred pathways concept. When you're really feeling disconnected from God and you feel joyless, knowing what your spiritual pathway is, which is how you connect with God, is the quickest way to get energy back in your life and to get joy back in your life. I like this particular layout here. You know, if you're an activist, it's that cause out there that's important to you. You know, if it's orphans or women or whatever it is, plugging into it. Aesthetic really is about solitude. It can be about meditation. It can be about fasting. Caregiver is you just love on other people. It's about relationships. It's spending time with other people. Contemplative, that's the person that gets in their car and goes to the Kentucky monastery for 3 or 4 days by themselves. They like to journal. If you're an enthusiast, that's worship. It's music. It's being around other people that are enthusiastic around worship. Intellectual, it's all about books. If your mind is not engaged, then your heart may feel very cold. Naturalist, that's the beach, that's the lake, that's the ocean where you connect with God. Sensate are people that really experience God through their senses. It can be through beautiful architecture. It can be through beautiful music. It can be through incredibly good food. You just experience God through your senses. And the last one is traditionalist. That's individuals that really connect with God. I kind of look, it's almost like Catholics. It's high church. It's the liturgies. It's the sacred symbols, and you really can connect with God in those different ways. So I would suggest to you, if you're really, really, really empty and you don't feel like you got joy in your life, there's all kinds of tests you can take to determine what your pathways are. But if you can find what your pathways are, take that test, and if you can combine more than one of these, it really will fill you up. Amanda would tell you this. Sometimes when I'm just really at the end and I'm physically tired and I'm mentally tired, my soul is just tired and I just need to get away. If I can go to the beach, I am intellectual and I am naturalist. If I can go to the beach with a really good book for just a few days, my soul feels revived. It's healing. It's healing for my soul. Second part of this is, can you truly cultivate joy in times of great pain and distress? Can you? Well, Paul sure did it in the book of Philippians. You know, he wrote all of the prison epistles from basically, they think, this jail in Rome, Ephesians, Colossians, Philemon, and Philippians. He talks about, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say it, rejoice. In all my prayers for you, I always rejoice. Then make my joy complete, being like-minded. Over and over and over again, he talked about being joyful. Now, what are things that can block your joy? Well, again, this isn't going to work. It was going to work, but what are some things you feel like that may simply block your ability to be joyful in your life? Anything come to mind? What's blocking your joy? What's blocking your happiness?
Guilt.
That's a good one. What else is keeping you from being joyful?
Busyness.
That's a great one, isn't it? These things right here, they're wearing us out. And we spend so much time on these things. Anything else?
Family crisis.
Yeah. That'll rob the joy. Anything else?
Failures or shortcomings.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish our little slide would have worked. That would have been fun. Those are all great ones. The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris. He specifically talks about the 7 things that rob our happiness. And this isn't a spiritual book necessarily, but talks about the 7 things that rob happiness in our lives, that robs joy in our lives. Talks about unrealistic expectations. You know, you're just constant disappointment from perfectionism or unmet ideals. You just got this life you wanted and it's just not working out. And that robs your joy. Number 2, you've got some past pain in your life. You've got some unresolved issues you've dealt with in your life and you just can't let go of that pain that it caused you, and it's robbing your joy. 3, comparison with others. Envy and inadequacy steal your gratitude. Just comparing yourself with everybody else, and it just keeps comparison is the thief of joy. It's a thief of joy. 4, lack of purpose or meaning. Empty despite external successes. That's that man on the plane. No matter how hard you try, you're just a striver and it's never enough. It's never enough, and it robs your joy. Number 5, chronic stress and overload. Busyness that drowns peace and rest. I can tell you that's my number 1. It's my number 1. Busyness just robs my ability to be joy. Sometimes I'm just grinding. 5, it's that little voice inside your head. It's that negative self-talk. You're not enough. It's the self-loathing that just constantly is in your ear all the time, that's speaking to you. That's negative self-talk. Number 5, loneliness, disconnection to others, isolation, and shallow relationships. Those are 7 things that clearly all rob your joy. And I added one more. I think unaddressed sin in our lives. If you have sin in your lives, a sin or a particular sin in your life that is just keeping you from being disconnected to God, there's no question about it that it robs your joy. I think it blocks your flow in your life as far as your connection with God. And last question this morning, what role does gratitude play in happiness and joy? Big? I once heard you cannot be thankful and anxious at the same time. You just can't. You cannot be focused on everyone else and being thankful, and at the same time being self-absorbed. You just can't do it. It's like it can't function at the same time in your brain simultaneously. Ortberg says, gratitude is the ability to experience life as a gift. It liberates us from the prison of self-preoccupation. It really is. And there's a number of ways that gratitude impacts our joy. It rewires the brain for positivity. It deepens our relationships. It shifts focus from lack to abundance. It's a practical tool for emotional resilience, and simple gratitude practices to increase joy. All these things can overall help you with joy in your life. So it's 10:15, and that's about all I've got this morning. Sorry, my little toy didn't work, but I think the big takeaway this morning, I kind of go back to what I said at the very beginning, which is so much of our happiness is driven by our habits, and so much of our life is just being present with where we are. August 10th, 2025. Let's celebrate today where we are in our lives, in our families where we are. So God bless you. Thank you.